All right. So, very good morning to all of you. It's nice to be at the third edition of the Indo-Global Innovation Connect. This session is quite interesting because this session will decide where the sustainability sector is going, in which direction, what are the key trends. And like all of you, capital is also following sustainability very, very strongly. We have seen in recent days the new carbon laws that are coming into effect in the European Union, and there will be kind of a non-tariff barrier if people don't create sustainable products, don't create sustainable solutions. It will be difficult for them to expand and grow. So in that context, this session where sustainability tech sector is going is very, very critical. Because in every area, whether it is health, whether it is mobility, whether it is energy, whether it is any of the key sectors, every sector has to decarbonize. There is this huge pressure. We have seen stories of floods, of heat waves. In Delhi, there was heat wave. Some people died. So this is quite a serious problem. As we speak now, in some of the German cities, there's flooding. It's never happened in the last 50, 60 years. They have seen waters at that level. So basically, things are going wrong and something has to be done. So in that context, delighted to have wonderful speakers. It's going to be an amazing session. Thank you all for joining us in this session and panel. So as we start off, I want to invite first our speaker, who is actually from Switzerland, but he is Aris Mukherjee, co-founder and chief commercial officer at RTDT Laboratories. Now, I would like to ask him, and also for all the panelists as we start, to give a 1-minute brief about who you are and what your company does, so that people get a context for what you will say. And then my specific question to you is basically, what is the current dynamics in the renewable energy space, because you are operating in that space, and especially in the wind energy sector, because that's your area of focus, and therefore what could be the next technology developments and what can we expect to see? Because this summit, the IGIC, Indo-Global Innovation Connect, is also a little bit about knowing the future and what trends will come. So over to Aris to decode that for us.
Thank you very much for the introduction and for the great questions. So I'll briefly introduce my company. So we're a deep tech company from Switzerland, and we increase the profitability and efficiency of wind turbines. So we develop both hardware and software. On the hardware side, we have our own special proprietary sensor modules that we developed that we put on the structural components of wind turbines, meaning the foundation, the tower, the blades, and the mainframe. And then we have a large library of analytical models, a mix of AI models, physics-based models, probabilistic models. And from this, we're able to detect many different things. On the one hand, obviously, damages, aerodynamic efficiency, but also structural reserves. So obviously, the first use case would be predictive maintenance, but we go far beyond that. Since we're able to detect the structural reserves on a wind turbine, we can actually use this to make the turbines more efficient by integrating directly with the control system of the turbine and optimally control the turbine based on the reserves that are available. For example, let's say an owner wants to maximize their revenues, then we can increase the power rating of a wind turbine to actually operate the turbine at maximum power output. Or the turbine might be older and we can say, we keep the reserves as large as possible for as long as possible to extend the lifetime of the turbine. In both cases, this drives the return on investment on a wind farm project, and this increases the profitability. So that's in a nutshell what we do. Now to your other question, which is quite interesting, the current dynamics in the wind energy sector or globally. So obviously with the climate targets that we've set, all the countries have set for themselves, wind energy is one of the main key ingredients to actually achieve our climate targets in a mix of renewable energy methods that we can use. But wind energy is special in the sense that wind turbines are very expensive. They're a very sophisticated piece of equipment. And globally, we only have about 15 large wind turbine manufacturers. 15, that's really not a lot. And then also the majority, or let's say out of the 10 largest wind turbine manufacturers worldwide, 6 are from China. And the Chinese wind turbine manufacturers are growing faster than all the others. They're making the largest turbines, and they're also making very reliable turbines, because we've seen a lot of problems from European turbine manufacturers. Siemens Gamesa needed to be bailed out by the German government recently because they had reliability issues, which cost them a lot of money. The Chinese don't have this problem. But interestingly, the Chinese manufacturers mainly serve their own home market, domestic market in China. Now, some Chinese manufacturers, like one called Envision, the second largest in China, are trying to move out of China and export their turbines. In Europe, they're unsuccessful for geopolitical reasons. But interestingly, when it comes to India, India has set itself a very, very high target for wind energy. They're heavily investing into wind energy. They need to quadruple roughly their wind energy capacity by 2030. And India has decided that they would like to actually invest in Chinese turbines. So there's an argument for that, which is that Chinese turbines are about 30% cheaper than European or Western turbines, and Indian turbines as well. And so if you're a Chinese, or if you're an Indian wind farm owner and you have the choice of, after all, you care about return on investment. So there's a choice of saying, I go for a Chinese wind turbine, which is fine. But of course, there are some geopolitical things to consider, and also a question of dependencies, long-term dependencies that you're getting into. And this is sort of, let's say, just an interesting observation from the point of view that India also wants to be self-reliant largely. So this is something to consider. India has actually 3 large wind turbine manufacturers. They have Suzlon, they have Inox, and Adani also. But to actually achieve the goals that they have, they just don't have the capacity to scale up that quickly with just the Indian ones. So they need to import. Another question is regarding the technology, right? How can one theoretically reduce this reliance if one does not want to be so reliant on others? How can you reach your targets without needing to import massively and create this dependency? I think that the answer here is really with technology. We need to increase not only the performance of the new turbines that are being installed, but also of existing turbines that are already installed. Why is that? Because the lifetime of a wind turbine is 25 years. It's very long. If you have a bad asset installed for 25 years, then this is not going to, both from a power production perspective and from a profitability perspective. So here, what's really key is to become more data-driven in the wind energy industry, both in terms of data collection, but also then integration of the right analysis methods, of the newest technologies on the AI side and so on. And here I see a trend, or I see the future going towards more autonomous, more intelligent, self-operating assets, as we are trying to do here with our technology. In the future, there can be communication between different turbines to try to optimally, let's say, steer the turbines in a farm and try to maximize the power production. This way, you're less reliant on, let's say, making or ordering more and more turbines from outside. You can rely on what you're able to build in-house, or also source from other sources, and then produce more efficiently, more clean energy, and reach our climate goals.
Excellent. Thank you for laying that out so nicely. Let's give a big round of applause. So India has actually put down the renewable energy targets, and in that piece, wind has a high target. So what we are getting as an insight from this panel is all the existing assets which are already deployed. If their efficiency is increased, it's much faster to reach the target. Second, we as India have to make a choice if we will give such a critical infrastructure outside India to other manufacturers from other countries. And one good option is to think slightly different, look at efficiency, look at software solutions that can help us meet our target, because that's set by the Planning Commission, and we have to work backwards to achieve it. And this idea of autonomous wind farms, where adjustment of power ratio in each wind farm, according to the way the wind is blowing, and each windmill connecting with the other windmill to realign. It's excellent. I think that's a wonderful line. I think some of us in the audience can also use that as an investment thesis to see which startups are in that field. Of course, his startup is there, and I'm sure you will be more involved, hopefully in the future, with India as well. Are you already in India with some clients?
So actually, we just made a big offer to Suzlon, and we're starting another project in UP, but a bit outside of wind, leveraging the same technology.
Great, excellent. Thank you so much. That's wonderful. Now from the realm of wind to the realm of the sun. So let's go to Dana Pousty, who is co-founder of SOLED. It's really kind of, everybody said, let's go for solar, and the cost has come down substantially. But still there is something unique that can be done in solar panels, because it's one industry. Again, there's a lot of assets already deployed, and there are possibility of much more deployment because of the high renewable energy targets, especially in India. So let's have you introduce yourself also, and a little bit about your company, SOLED, or I don't know, should I say SOLED or SOLED, but introduce your company as well. And then how the technology you see evolving in the space of solar, and what we should watch out for as attendees of IGIC to get probably insights into the future of that sector. Over to you.
Okay, thank you so much for the intro. Hello everyone, my name is Dana. I'm currently finishing my PhD at Tel Aviv University. SOLED is a company when me and my supervisor established is a spin-off from Tel Aviv University. During my PhD, I studied water disinfection using UV LED technology, and we got a patent, really interesting patent, on how we can enhance the water treatment with combination of different frequencies, frequent wavelength, in order to also reduce the energy consumption. So we are targeting mostly for rural areas, for remote areas, and these kinds of communities. Since there is the big challenge, and I have to tell something regarding the energy. I found it that without energy, we don't have any life. I usually say it about water because water is like very basic ingredient. But where we did some research in really rural village here in Karnataka next to Aichur, 3 days we don't have any electricity, and we don't have what to do there without any electricity. And then I just understand that we have used energy everywhere. So regarding solar panels, so do you know what was the efficiency of solar panels 30 years ago? Okay, it was 15% efficiency. Now it's about 25% of efficiency. And recently, researchers produce solar panels which can achieve about 47.1% of efficiency. So what I'm trying to say is, as I see the world as a scientist, I feel that science is the basic of everything. Research institutions is the basic of new technology to develop new initiatives as well. Moreover, scientists can, with their deep analysis, with their deep research equipment, we can learn the field, and we can give to some stakeholders, to the government, some new different of point of views how to use those technologies, since everything at the end stuck in regulation at the end. I see the trend like that the solar panels can be much more flexible. I follow a lot of solar energy companies in order to use their technology for our water disinfection systems. And we see that now there is a transparent solar panels that can transfer light, which can be amazing for different aspects. So we will see it not only in a water treatment facilities, also like in space area with drones, military issues, agriculture, and all these kinds of manufacturers and fields. But I have to say that now there is a trend with agrivoltaics, which is very nice and beautiful because we can cover tons of field and crops with solar panels and also some lakes and these kinds of stuff. But we have to first learn what is the effect of those solar panels on our ecosystem and on our soil and on our water. We install some solar panels on lakes in order to, use this area. But we saw that there are some differences between the water quality that was not covered by solar panels and with the water that was covered, the water quality that was covered with solar panels. So we need, when we are thinking about solar panel and how we can cover all over the world with solar panel, we need to think about the effect and what is the consequences and about the ecosystems about that. But still, to use it on rooftops and as home use and these kinds of stuff that can change our world. In my personal point of view, that's something that I really want to say on this stage, that energy can enhance life, the quality of life for a lot of people all around the world. So when I was back then in the village that we don't have any electricity for 3 days, I just thought about the kids that need to go to school, that need to learn. And every time that I'm going to these areas, I'm just thinking, maybe the next Steve Jobs can be there. And we just don't know because these kids do not have the potential. So when we are develop those technologies, we need to target for those areas in order to give the opportunities to all the people all around the world.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Again, we see that underlying theme, the efficiency is critical, especially in the renewable space, so that there is more power for every dollar invested in that space. So that's interesting. And on the other side, yes, it's truly right. At one conference I was, everybody was saying, we don't know how to solve the climate problem. And, one philosopher stood up and said, the solution of the climate problem might be in the mind of a child in Africa. And if we can, get education, get skills, wherever that smart child is, and it may not be in a privileged place. And therefore, more power to energy so that energy can give back greater power to the human, right? Thank you so much, Nana. That was very interesting. And now we move completely changing the gear to the other side. And I would like to ask Sriram Kannan, who is founder and CEO of Routematic India, for a short description of what they do and also about how the EV technology space is evolving and what challenges need to be addressed, especially for EV expansion in India. On one side, we see all the wonderful policies, the FAME policy, some of it might be taken back depending on the budgetary constraints. But, are these doing enough? Should more be done? Are these, lacking clarity and creating the impact that has to be? So over to you as you unbox this.
Thanks. So my name is Sriram. So I run a company called Routematic. We are in the corporate. Yeah, hi, my name is Sriram. I run a company called Routematic. We are a corporate mobility transport solution provider in India. We are tied up with nearly 200 corporates. So primarily what we do is we tie up with corporates and take care of their entire transport requirements. We are a transport and travel super app. We aggregate demands, the daily office commute, the travel desk, the corporate events and so on. So we take we help corporates to go paperless on that first, and also be a single stop solution for aggregating all that volume, and we take them through a 3-stage process, which is digitize, automate, and optimize. We also enable corporates through the digitization to go completely paperless. Our mission really has upgraded to sustainability angle. Prior to COVID, we got mandates more like a CSR mandate to do maybe 4 or 5% in sustainable model, but we see a heightened sense of requirements from corporates to go even more. For example, 25%, 50% of my transport should be made through EVs and so on. So what we do is multiple stages, right? By aggregating volumes from a corporate, we are in a position to do a lot of ride pooling within that. So even before it becomes an EV, we are replacing 4 cars with 1 by putting 4 people in a single car, right, through the pooling process. And we are also reducing the utilization of a car, because we also run our own marketplace where we aggregate cars from drivers and other fleet vendor partners. So we are in a position to increase the utilization, similar theme to what we just heard from our friends here. If a car was doing maybe 3 trips in a day, we make him do 4, 5, 6 trips in a day, right? Which reduces the inter-trip distances. So ours is an AI platform that continuously looks, monitors and adapts itself to these dynamic conditions. It is first of all route planning, making it paperless, compliant for the corporate, while increasing the utilization per driver, right? If there were 100 drivers, we replace them with 50 to do the same trips, which means that, their revenue first of all goes up, which is the sticky point. But more than that, they also are looking at reducing the dry run, as we call them, between trips, reducing the number of dry kilometers, etc. And as of last year, we also launched our own EV fleet. So corporates are now booking EV credits with us. So we show them a nice dashboard, and we tell them you are at 10% or 15 or 20 or 30. So we routinely run mandates for corporates, which typically ranges from 25% to be in EVs all the way to 100% in the next 3 or 4 years time, right? So that is basically where we are. The challenges are, if you look at let's assume that transportation means EV. I believe that transportation is first of all reducing the number of cars even on ICE to be much more. So I did a computation, it's several order magnitude more than just running an EV, right? But let's assume that we are talking about EVs right now. What is really required is, there are 2 aspects to it. The B2C side, where you sell an EV to the common man, and the corporate. We are quite frankly nowhere near the common man or the driver buying an EV yet, right? The cost structure simply doesn't support it, nor is he able to rotate it given the requirement for infra that is required. So we are at a stage where B2B companies like us can really drive up the volume, because we do about 1.5-2 million trips in a month. That's the kind of volume we have access to. So we are in a position to drive up the utilization of an EV to the extent that it makes economic sense, right? So we make a joke in our company that ESG means economic sense guaranteed, right? So that is the ESG target we set to ourselves. So that is basically where we are at. We are able to make large volume commitments to my corporate friends. We are also able to make utilization and guaranteed revenue assurance to the driver side. We are in a position to kind of merge them, and we are seeing good response from the market. But the challenges are really in, there is a FAME 1, FAME 2, subsidies, etc. We need a lot more. It is a very transient, very fluxy state right now. There are charging point operators who sometimes invest in the space. There are EV fleet vendors and aggregators coming in. There is a demand requirement. They don't meet as much in the way that we would expect to be, but it's exciting times. I think more innovative solutions are expected to come out in the next 18 to 24 months.
Excellent. Thank you, Sriram, for laying that out so wonderfully. Again, we see the underlying theme of efficiency.
Yeah.
If we don't measure, we can't improve. So it's critical. So I think if there are any startups here, that's one area of business that can really always bring value, because you actually showcase, like their dashboard, how much savings or how green was today compared to yesterday. And if that data can be real time, it will create much greater adoption and change behavior also of people deciding to maybe walk a little so that they can share the same car instead of having a different car getting deployed.
It really is not about how many cars you have. It's about the number of cars you don't need.
Excellent. This is this is really very very interesting uh, uh, because you change the paradigm. Instead of the number of cars, how many you don't need. So that's really interesting and wonderful thought. Now we move over to our last speaker in this panel, Vladas Snieckus, who is Executive Manager for Sustainable Technologies and Head of Research and Product Development at Waynerr from Switzerland. I would ask you again the same, just a brief description about Waynerr and what you are doing there, and your perspectives on the future development in the circular economy space, because this is again a big area. Everybody is talking sustainability, but really not many are able to pin it down and track everything from the cradle to the grave. And probably there is no grave, because then it's circular and coming back again. So yes, over to you, and take the floor.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So I'm Dr. Vladas Snieckus from Waynerr, Swiss company. We're based roughly around 50 kilometers from Basel in Canton Jura. And the key focus of our company is we have developed technology on how to recycle leather. So in principle, we produce currently sustainable leather panels, and the raw material to us is the material nobody wants. These are the side products of tanneries in the shape of peels, shaves, dust. Normally you would shuffle that off. However, we learned the way how to take this material and to create a new matter. To us, this relates something to a discovery of graphene. Everybody knows graphite, and suddenly there is graphene. So in principle, this is leather, yes, this is collagen, but we call it macroporous leather. Because when you look under the microscope, it's still the same collagen, but the only difference is that it contains lots and lots of air tunnels. So the product itself started with the principle to create something truly sustainable and as clean as possible. Because you see, my background is I'm a medical doctor. I'm not engineer. Our CEO and founder is also a medical doctor. So what are the doctors doing in construction? But the project started from the basis we wanted to challenge ourselves. Can we create a clean material for your healthy housing? Because when you look into the data, especially starting since 2021, and I can say that as the medical doctor, you start discovering the data that, for example, the blood clots in us, in people, nearly 50% comes with microplastic. Out of this 50% of microplastic, is more than 70% is coming from PVC, polyvinyl chloride. Look around. We're living in our buildings, apartments, and majority of the materials are synthetic. And these materials, they get into our body. So we challenged ourselves. We created this technology, and we currently produce those leather panels for the purpose to use them replacing any part of insulation panels. Those can be used as interior decor panels. Those can be used as brilliant acoustic panels because they are able to absorb up to 100% of sound. That has never ever been recorded in the world. So we are really proud of this technology. However, the deeper we went, the more application models and ways we found. Currently, we are working also on personal protection equipment, medical devices, applications, oil, gas industry, just name it. So to us, we have developed specifically starting with the building and construction industry, the healthy house concept. And answering to the question about the sustainability and circularity, first of all, circularity is really, and sustainability, those are really buzzwords, right? Industry loves them using. However, when we look at the sustainability, it starts with food, perhaps, industry, then we look into the packaging industry, then we suddenly discovered that when we look at the plastic bottles, that actually only small part is being recycled, right? And then we enter into the construction industry, and personally, I was also engaged in the keynote and panel discussion in London, one of the great shows. And people are speaking about sustainability in construction. However, it's not there. Because nearly 2-3 months ago, for UK, they set the target, they had the target to reduce and reach those carbon emission targets by 2030. Something has changed. They changed the figure to reach by 2050. Because it's not happening, you see? When we discuss about the sustainability and circularity in construction, whoa, forget about the circularity. People just start assuming that we need to become more sustainable. And specifically in the construction industry, there are differences between the markets, of course. Like in UK industry, they are really speaking about the embodied carbon, and not only the UK market, a lot of markets. And I asked why? Why do you speak about the embodied carbon? Because is it really the only one parameter? No, the answer is not. But it's just because we learned how to calculate. That's it, right? So it's more than that. And to me personally, the sustainability cannot be achieved without the circularity. Just for instance, I was also engaged in the cruise ship industry, one of the shows, and there was a really nice example how one of the really well-known cruise line, they delivered one of the examples. They brought the old ship to the shipyard, and they decided to recycle the carpets. So it's really a nice initiative, and everybody applauds on that. However, when you understand that out of the cruise ship, they took like 15 full truckload of the carpet, they recycled, but after the recycled, they will not be able to re-recycle again. So what happens? Is that circularity? No. In the matter of fact, they created another rubbish. When we look at our technology, the technology with the collagen, it allows you to re-recycle unlimited number of times. You see? So it's not only sustainable because we take the side products, we use very little of energy, resources, right? But whether or not you are able to recycle afterwards. In Switzerland, for example, we are really shifting the economy with the support of Confederation and different companies. But we still achieved around 7% of the circularity in the economy. And everybody understands that's really, really small figure. So in the purpose of material, we try also to look on how we can repurpose materials. Can we recycle them with the new technical parameters, perhaps? And this is what we did as well in our technology. So we had also recently one really nice event at Swiss Embassy in London, along with the London Mayor's Initiative, with the architects, interior designers, and it's really interesting on that the global thinking is really going closer to sustainability. But when we discuss with the industry, the difference appears that the sustainability, for example, designers, they join the project at a very late stage. So what happens? At least for the construction, you have planned the building, you start, with the project development, and then afterwards the sustainability designer says that, well, there should be some other, materials or other technologies. And then as the project owner, you look at the budget, you don't have the budget. You need more time, you need more money, and you have the need to add new materials. No, it's not going to happen, right? So we need to bring that earlier in the planning process. We need to start with the planning there, right? But also it relates a lot with the support from the government, from the regulation. Excellent. What is actually, how this initiative is incentivized, right? Or regulated. What is actually sustainable and circular? How do we measure that? Is there, yes, we can calculate the life cycle, analysis, the carbon footprint, and so forth, but is it really, the full story? or should we calculate at a certain stage? Where do we start, where do we end? Can we repurpose that? So in my view, that is really developing, yes. There is a great need. So indeed, I think this conference and initiative from different companies, that's the really high time. It's like, alarm giving to people really awaken, because we start questioning, what do we eat, where do we live, what do we breathe, what do we drink, right?
Yes.
How can we that optimize, make it more effectively with less resources? Can we reuse those materials? So I truly believe that this is the path. Also, I see the same need and great interest from India. Like few days ago, I met in Chennai with local companies and government. It seems that the sustainability is not bound by country, is bound by time.
Yeah. Good. Thank you, Snieckus. I think that was quite a detailed overview of everything you laid out. So now is the fun part. So we are planning to make it quite interactive. So there are 3 ways that we open the house up, right? So one is, please raise your hand. You can either, just a second. You can either ask a question or you can make a comment, but there's a third thing that you can do. You've heard most of the speakers. You found the underlying theme is efficiency and also the day zero thinking, starting from before, so that you don't come too late with the sustainability focus. So what most of the speakers here are doing. Now, apart from a question or a comment, the third thing that I want the audience to think and to ask is, if you have a way to collaborate, to connect and add value to what they are already doing, so start with saying, I would like to add value in this way, and then direct your question or comment to one of the speakers. All right, the house is open. Anyone has a question? Okay, first, then second. All right. Also, give us a little bit info about yourself.
Okay. Hi, I'm Vishal Krishna, founder of the upstreamlife.com. We help corporates tell better stories. So if you guys want to tell stories to your stakeholders, then come to me. I can influence them better than anybody. That's the value I had. But this is to you, Doctor. Kudos to what you're doing. And the fact that we need to think long-term in terms of multiple use cases of recycling and continuous recycling. My use case is with the children today in India. A lot of them are picking up sport, and they play on these rubber mats. And these rubber mats are made out of recycled tire. The fact is this tire when recycled, it becomes rubber mat. It's not recyclable anymore, but it's affecting our children with cancer. Nobody knows this. All our kids go to football, cricket. How do you actually focus on creating a sustainable ecosystem for these kind of companies, rubber manufacturers or tire manufacturers, to understand the long-term viability of continuous recycling? Is it difficult? Where do they start? Are there startups in that space? Do you see that coming from NGOs who will now go and campaign against this kind of recycling? Because you're right, it's not just about calculating one-time recycle, but it has to be forever, till humanity exists forever, right? So we need that to happen, not have children falling sick with cancer. It's an emotional thing for me. So I ask, how should we protect our children when we think about sustainable tech?
All right, good. Yeah. Before you answer, I just want to make, just for lighter humor, remember the ad, diamond is forever, So normally women like whatever is forever, right? So I think it's good to brand things that are forever from a sustainability, circularity point of view. All right, over to you, Snieckus.
Thank you. Indeed, it's emotional question, and it's painful question, because in the industry we use a lot of chemicals. That's how it works, right? That's how we learn to create new materials. So now I think we are at a different stage where we are more sophisticated. We have more information, and we are able to identify those toxic materials. So with that, now we are able in different industries to start finding how to replace that. Just for example as well, like in other insulation materials, they also used previously formaldehyde, right? Until they understood that, well, that's actually poison. So indeed, this is painful. But however, I trust in networking. Really, like going into creating the circles, engaging with government institutions as well. Because I see that those initiatives, it's like in the air, like common sense. You just need to trigger and find the commonly thinking people to find the ways of collaboration, to start, seeing where we can and how we can place that, how we can install that. So I think
I would say network and deep work to find new materials and network. And then, of course, meet after this during the lunch break, and he will expose you to more corporates. So thank you so much. Next question. Yes.
Thanks for this insightful session. My name is Ankit. I'm from Capgemini. So my question is related to EV domain. So Mr. Kannan, for you. So we talk about circularity in EV space, right? And it's kind of a pretty debated topic because we talk about batteries and the material, the composition of the batteries, how it's going to be circular in future, right? So, and do you think that, these batteries, if we talk from a materiality perspective, they are able to, and we are talking about zero landfills and all, right? So do you think EVs are like actually more circular than ICs when you see that, after a certain point of time, they will go into a landfill, right? And there will be some materials which might not be getting extracted. So what is your perspective on this debate which is going on?
So, yeah, so quite frankly, I haven't taken a position on that. I'll tell you why. There is no 6-year-old EV in the market yet. Okay, so we have to wait to understand. There's a lot of conjectures, hypotheses, scientific research happening. Yes, there are certain ways to do battery recycling. In fact, there are a few startups with their thesis around just battery recycling, right? But the end of the day, we really do not know. I mean, do you know of a vehicle that has crossed 4 or 5 years? No, right? No. But lithium is probably not the only source, right? There's work on fuel cells as well. So we really do not know. But that will still happen to be one of the rare resources still, right? See, but we have to start somewhere. So we are starting with EV. There is even the question of how even are we really carbon neutral on the production of the battery itself? There is still a lot of debate around that. But we have to start somewhere. We have started with the first process of doing something else somewhere and then exporting it, and at least you keep a Bangalore clean from the pollution, right? We don't know whether we are at net zero as far as the world is concerned. So again, right, we will mature, but we have to act, we have to start. It's a very good start to go with this for now. At least we know what is happening, what is not happening as on today. I am closely following many of the recycling kind of startups, the work kind of research. There's a lot of chemical and electrical and all that happening, but we are following that. But I would take a position only when we get to an EV that has crossed 5 years effectively. Till then, no idea.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that wonderful answer. Is there any other question? Yes, there. Yes, also introduce yourself. Yeah. Maybe you can give another mic here.
Yeah, a very, very warm good morning to everyone. I'm Nayaz Ahmed. I run a startup incubator here. We are Jane Launchpad. So we are a full-fledged startup incubator, accelerator, and a seed fund. So my question is to any one of you, but specifically Pousty and Snieckus. We spoke about a lot of challenges and look at the problems and challenges in sustainability, right? And on the other side, there are innovations which are invented. We heard a couple of inventions here itself. And I understand that innovators needs to be rewarded for these innovations. But when you look at the solutions, what you have solved, and if you think that these solutions can solve the global problem, right? But these are behind the patents and licenses and all that. So I just want to understand how can these innovations be democratized, but of course keeping in mind the innovators needs to be rewarded. But how do you think these solutions, these innovations can actually reach the masses? Because most of the innovators, when they start, they are unable to take it to the masses, right? So that's my question. Thank you.
Thank you. If I may answer, I think any innovation, when looking at the application part, The question mark is the scalability. Can be scaled? Because I saw as well, very nice innovation, could solve problems, but not scalable. Yes, there are some licenses, right, and patents and so forth. You need to protect your innovation, either way. But if you are able to scale, there is a scale economy. This is what we are doing currently in the company as well. We are launching in multiple markets, finding the distributors, finding the partners, and just giving the product at a scale. So I think the scalability could be one of the answer. Of course, economy is important, but I would say more of the economy and the value, what you give and what you get.
Excellent. So on that note of scaling, I want to give you the best gift, which is giving you back some time. So we'll stop now. Everybody of us will be down. So please do bilateral meetings, because only in bilaterals there is an exchange of value. Everything else is exchange of ideas. Maybe some of us will do something with it, but when you meet people, shake hands, things happen. So thank you very much. Let's give a big round of applause to the wonderful panelists.